Na slaves start Nigeria army. If I ask you, are you a patriotic Nigerian citizen? I know you shout a resounding yes. But if I then hit you with a tricky question like, what is the true strength of our army? Well, I'm not here to gatekeep the fact. The total number of active personnel is estimatedly about 170,000 to 180,000 well-trained men and women. But what if I told you that the entire journey of this massive, powerful institution started with just 18 Hausa slaves? Na slaves start Nigeria army. So when next an army man slap you for road, just know say na slave legacy dey take slap you. How did the Nigerian army grow from a tiny guard of 18 former slaves to become the 26th most powerful military force in the world and the 4th most powerful force in Africa today? It was not an easy journey, but walk with me in history. The very first set of men who would eventually become the modern-day Nigerian army was formed in Lagos in 1863. The man who kicked this whole thing off was Royal Navy soldier named Lieutenant John Ole Glover. Glover was setting up a British consulate and needed a reliable security. He knew he wouldn't just employ anybody. He needed men who would be absolutely loyal to him and the British establishment he was protecting. His clever solutions, he specifically sought out Hausas who were either former slaves or runaway slaves. Why Hausa and why slaves? Because the slaves having escaped or being freed would see their employment as a lifeline and a binding commitment to their benefactor, Glover. This meant guaranteed first loyalty. He employed just 18 men and they were simply Glover's Hausas. Their job was to act as guides, protecting the British consulate and putting down any local insurrections. These 18 brave men were the unrecognized founder of our powerful force. Fast forward to 1865, Glover's men were formalized and became known as the Hausa Constabulary in the Lagos colony. But this force was only in Lagos. Nigeria as we know it didn't exist yet. Meanwhile, up north, something else was brewing. In 1886, a powerful British trading company called the Royal Niger Company, RNC, formed their own paramilitary unit. They were called the Royal Niger Company Constabulary. Their goal was to act as security for the RNC's commercial interests, protecting their trading route and warehouse along the Niger River. In the same year, another group was formed to protect the vital coastal region, especially the lucrative Niger Delta area. They were called the Oil River Irregulars. Their focus was on keeping the trade routes open and controlling the local population. So now we have the three distinct group: the Hausa Constabulary in Lagos, the Royal Niger Company Constabulary in the north, the Oil Rivers Irregulars protecting the coast. Bear in mind, these three groups were not connected. The north, the south, and the Lagos Protectorate were separate entities, each with its own armed security. They were not operating together as one unified body. Also, how did these three separate bodies of vagrants and constables actually become the Nigerian army? The real and pivotal formation started in 1897. A British colonel named Frederick Lugard was tasked by the British Colonial Office to form a proper single rail trained army, a military force that could enforce British rule across the entire region. Lugard's first major action was to amalgamate or combine all the existing units together. He called this new unified force the West African Frontier Force. This was the moment of true military birth. In 1914, Nigeria itself was amalgamated, and this further solidified the military union. The name of the local force changed to Nigerian Regiment of the WAF after World War I, where Nigerian soldiers fought bravely in the Cameroon and the Eastern African countries. The name changed again in 1928 to the Royal West African Frontier Force, RWAF. But again, bear in mind, by this time, the vast majority of the high-ranking officers were British. The Nigerians were just the brave foot soldiers taking orders from colonial masters. This structure continued right up until 1960, when Nigeria gained independence. Upon independence, the force was renamed the Royal Nigerian Army. Crucially, the British still remained in control of the High Command. The full transition, the true Nigerianization, didn't happen until 1963 when Nigeria became a republic. The name was finally changed to the Nigerian Army, the one we know today, and Major General GTU Aguiyi Ironsi became the first indigenous general officer commanding GOC. However, a serious problem arose right after independence. Historically, the Southerners were generally more educated in the colonial system than their northern counterparts. As a result, many of the high-ranking officers' positions were mostly occupied by the Southerners. This created significant tension in the barrack and contributed to the national crisis at this fragile time. In 1967, the total population of the Nigerian Army was relatively small, estimated to be somewhere around between 8,000 to 10,000 men. But then, the devastating Nigerian Civil War broke out. Suddenly, the military needed to expand rapidly throughout the war. The population exploded to around 160,000 men. Since then, the number has remained pretty much the same. A powerful legacy forged in conflict, duty, and determination. That is the incredible turbulent story of the creation of the Nigerian Army. In case you haven't followed or subscribed yet, now is the right time to do that. What other Nigerian institution do you want me to uncover?